Welcome. Today we're going to talk about a specific type of percent application problems, namely increase and decrease problems. These things occur all the time with what happens if you're increasing your sales. You want to know the percent of increase. You may want to know if your sales are dropping, what's the percent of decrease, and who has the most, what's the percent of which salesperson's having the worst. If you need to let someone go, you need to know where the problem is. If the temperature is increasing or decreasing, you want to know the percent that it's increasing or decreasing. Percent increase chance of rain depending on what the conditions are, or for it to be a hot sweltering day. There's a lot of different problems on this, as well as markup and markdown on sales. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. To solve percent increase and percent decrease application problems. Okay, these are special types of applications to solve percent increase, percent decrease application problems. This is what we need to do. We need to identify the percent and base the way we always have. The percent, of course, is going to be the obvious. It's going to be either we're looking for it or it's going to be given to us as the percent. The base, of course, remember, is what we're taking the percent of. The percent of something. That something is our base. Remember, it's always usually the original amount, the total amount, what's behind the of. But in this, it's going to be before the increase, the amount that we had before the increase or the amount we had before the decrease. Okay, the base is going to be what we started with. Okay, the base is going to be what we started with. Next thing we want to do is determine the increase or the decrease. The amount is going to be the increase or the decrease. And the percent of increase or the amount of increase, that shouldn't be percent. It's going to be the increase will be the new value minus the original, or the decrease is going to be the original minus the new value. So what we're going to be doing is to find the increase or decrease, we're going to have to subtract using the original amount, what we started with. And this will become our amount that we use in our percent formula. Okay. This is the amount. When we identify the increase or decrease, this is the amount that we're talking about. Okay. Then we want to set up the percent proportion. Remember, the percent proportion is the amount over the base is equal to the percent over 100, which we abbreviated as amount over A over B is equal to P over 100. Remember, we don't use the letters, we use them, but we say amount over base equals percent over 100. Amount over base equals percent over 100. Then we want to solve the proportion using the cross products, and then we want to answer the question in the problem. Remember, they may be asking us, we may have to set up the proportion, but it may not be the exact answer that they're looking for. So let's again review what we're supposed to do. We're going to identify the percent in the base. We're going to read the problem, identify the percent in the base, and then determine the increase or decrease by subtracting the new value from the original, or subtracting the original from the new value, depending on which one's larger. This is the amount. Notice we have percent, the base, and then the amount. And once we have identified the percent, the base, and the amount, then we're going to set up our percent proportion. We're going to set up our percent proportion the way we always do with a proportion application or percent problem. Okay, then we want to solve the proportion and then answer the question in the problem. Okay, let's look at it in an example. The example we're going to look at is a house in Southern California had a value of $125,000. 2 years later, the house was valued at $205,000. We want to find the percent of increase in value during the 2 years. That's a big increase. I'd like to have owned that house, right? Okay, a house in Southern California had a value of $125,000. 2 years later, the house was valued at $205,000. We want to find the percent increase in value during the 2 years. So to do this problem, we're still going to have to set up our percent, our base, and our amount. Okay, the percent, we're looking for the percent, so it must be our x. Now the base, remember the base is always the original amount. What was the original value of the house? Okay, in this problem, the original value of the house was $125,000. So the original price, the value when they bought it, was $125,000. Now, remember the amount we're looking for is we're looking for the percent increase. So the amount is the increase. So how are we going to find the increase in value? Okay, we're going to take the new value. Remember, the percent increase is going to be the new value minus the original. So we want to take $205,000 and subtract the $125,000. So we want to take the $205,000 and subtract the $125,000. And we end up with $80,000 as the amount. Okay, $80,000 represents the increase. That's not a bad increase over 2 years, and you didn't even have to work for it, did you? Okay, the percent was our unknown. The base was the original amount of the house, $125,000. The amount is the increase because we're looking for the percent increase. The amount is going to be the increase. And the house went up in value $80,000, so that's our amount. So using the proportion formula, percent formula, we get amount over base is equal to the percent over 100. So we get 80,000 over the base, which is 125,000, is equal to the percent, which is what we're looking for, over 100. Now to solve this, we want to cross multiply. So we get 80,000 times 100 is equal to 125,000 times x. Now 80,000 times 100 is going to be, what is that, 8 million? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. 4, 5, 6. Yep, 8 million is equal to 125,000. Now we want to divide both sides by the value of the x. So we're going to divide both sides by 125,000. And so we're going to take the 8 million and divide by 125,000. And we come up with a 64 as our unknown. Now remember, the unknown represented the percent, so that says it's a 64% increase from its original value. There's a 64% increase over the original value. Identify your percent, identify your base, which is your original amount, what it started at. Then you want to find the amount of increase, and the amount of increase is how much did the cost of the house go up? The cost of the house went up $80,000, so that's what our amount is. This is our increase. Our amount is the increase. Then set up our proportion and solve the proportion, and x turns out to be 64, so that's the percent that we're looking for. Okay, let's look at our second example. This is something we can relate to if we're working.